So this past week, like probably half of the planet, I watched The Tinder Swindler on Netflix. Now, what is The Tinder Swindler? Okay, unless you've been living under a rock, you know that Tinder is a very popular dating app, and The Tinder Swindler is exactly what it sounds like. It's a documentary about a guy who met women on Tinder and went about taking money from them, and in large amounts. And that's what I want to talk about today. Hey, welcome back to my channel. My name is Debbie, this is Brain Candy, and today I want to talk about, like I said in the intro, the Tinder Swindler. So, if you, first I gotta do a disclaimer here and say that if you're planning on watching the Tinder Swindler and you don't want to know what happens, scroll away from this video, come back after you've seen it. But this is a huge spoiler alert. I'm going to tell you what happens for the most part. Anyways, so the Tinder Swindler is about this dude. His name, well, I'll call it his Tinder name, is Simon. Okay, Simon is the son of a billionaire diamond dealer. Okay, supposedly on Tinder, he's the son of a billionaire diamond dealer, and he goes about matching with women. Now, the one thing I noticed in the 3 women that they interview for this documentary, or that who come forward for this documentary, is that they are cookie cutters. They're like, you know, those dolls that you pull one out of, they all look exactly the same, right? Pretty much. 2 of the women this guy, Simon, was romantically involved with at about the same time. And the 3rd woman, they were just friends, right? She didn't get involved with him romantically because they went on their first date, they decided they really weren't a match. But you know what? It'd be cool to be friends. Before y'all come at me in the comments, I'm not victim blaming, right? I am thinking as someone who used to date, and in one of my videos, I talked about how I haven't dated in 5 years and I'm perfectly cool with that. But when I used to date, there are some things that I would look out for. And it wasn't that I was trying to look out for them. It was just, you know what? My spidey senses are tingling. This don't feel right. Okay, goodbye, right? These women didn't have any kind of sense that said, hey, you know what? This doesn't sound right, right? So in the first instance, like I said, there are some things that I would have picked up on. I would have been like, for starters, I would have been like, billionaire's son, billionaire diamond dealer's son on Tinder. Is it possible? Sure, I guess so. But in my head and in my imagination, no, it's not possible. I would have blocked that dude so fast. Anyways, none of anything that this guy did rang any alarm bells for any of these women. Let's go to the first thing. Like I said, billionaire diamond dealer's son. Yeah, I would have had a problem with that. Secondly, when each woman matched with this guy, right, on Tinder, within minutes, they all said that he messaged them and said, hey, I'm in whatever city they were in. Would you like to meet up for coffee? Now, I'm not all about those. I'm not into those dating head games. So, you know, when you match with someone, you should wait X amount of time before you message them. That's not my style. I don't believe in that. I believe that, you know what, you message whenever you feel like it, but within minutes of matching, no, that's a red flag for me. It just feels like, who is sitting by their phone waiting to get I don't know. It felt wrong to me. Okay. So there's that. And each one of them fell for it. Each one of them was like, oh yeah. You know, he'd say, you know what, let's say I'm in London. Let's meet for coffee. And she would message him back and say either she was in the same city or she was not in the same city. And if she wasn't in the same city, he would fly to her, right? And meet me at some foo-foo shishi hotel and let's have coffee or let's have brunch or let's have whatever, okay? So each one of these women was impressed with that. The first woman that they interview, who talks about how he messaged her, she met him for lunch and, you know, at foo-foo shishi hotel, and they had a great time and she went home. And then I think it was the following day or whatever, he was saying that, you know, he had to go away. He had to go away on business. He had some business in Stockholm or wherever it was that he had business. And he wanted to know if she wanted to come with him. He was going to be taking the private jet, but his ex and their daughter was going to be coming along. And she was like, oh, okay, it's kind of weird, but hey, man's got a jet. I'm going to go along. Her friends thought she was crazy because you just met this guy and he's going to whisk you off in a jet with his ex and his daughter. And like, what if you get kidnapped? Like, anything could happen to you. She wasn't really concerned about that. I'm not sure why. Because I would be like, yeah, no, you go on about your little trip. We can talk when you get back. There's a big part of me that feels like these women were dazzled by the appearance, and he knew that. And I mean, it worked. It worked on multiple women, right? So anyways, figuratively speaking, he would whisk them off their feet, you know, private jet, big expensive dinners, fancy cars, cool vacations, all that kind of stuff. He did all of that, right? Each one of them falls for it. Now let's talk about the first woman who he got the most money from. He got $250,000 from this woman. Like, anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. So because his dad, supposedly works for his dad's company, and they are billionaire diamond dealers, this dude was like, you know, there are people, I have enemies, right? So I'm gonna jump ahead when I tell you that he would, you know, put on this big route. Oh, he got attacked. He'd send pictures of his bodyguard with a bloody forehead and a gash in the back of his head. And, you know, they're in an ambulance, and, you know, these people were trying to get to me and my bodyguard. I can't even remember what his name was, but my bodyguard, you know, he defended me. And now I can't use my credit cards anymore because I don't want my enemies to be able to track me. Now, I'm like, did none of you think, what kind of comic book lifestyle are you living? I don't want any of this comic book business, and you can call me when you get situated, right? Nobody thought, okay, well, this is weird. They all went,
oh my god, I hope you're okay. Is everybody okay?
They all worried about him, right? Instead of saying, yeah, no, this is too far-fetched for me. I'm sorry. That would have been my response. But nobody thought that. Secondly, this guy, as soon as they like match, meet, start talking, this dude is like love bombing the daylights out of them, like constant texts and good mornings and good nights and hey, do you want to come stay over at my hotel room? And just bombing the hell out of these women. And I think, I don't know about you guys, but love bombing makes me really uncomfortable. And it makes every hair on my body stand. I don't like it at all. It is the ultimate alarm bell, love bombing. The whole, you know, mega texting and good morning, how are you? And good night, my sweet. And all of this stuff. No. And it didn't ring any alarm bells for any of these women because it worked. He got away with it, especially with the first one. But anyway, the next thing that would have kind of set off some alarm bells for me were the whole bodyguard and the team and all of this kind of stuff. No, it just feels too James Bond for me. Like, I get it, maybe that could have been his lifestyle, but dude, why are you on Tinder? Why are you bringing a stranger from Tinder into your James Bond life? I don't get it. Made no sense to me. One of the things that stood out for me at the very beginning, okay, so this first woman, he rips her off. They go through their whole thing. She takes out crazy loans and winds up borrowing $250,000, okay, for him. When she finally realizes what she's gotten herself into, 250 grand later, she decides that she's gonna tell her story to a newspaper, the biggest newspaper in her country. I think she's in Norway. So she gives the story to the newspaper. She gives all of the texts and the emails and stuff. And when, like, they don't hide his email address, right? So when they show his email address, I'm like, did his email address not tip you off? So maybe because I'm a bit of a geek and I've been building websites and blogs and that type of thing since the devil was in diapers, right? So when it showed his email address, I was like, right there. There's your fraud right there. His email address was simon@whatevercompany.co, and the actual company web address is whatevercompany.com, right? Yes, I get it. Occasionally someone will buy one domain for the website and buy another for their email. But with this guy, it felt like, no, he was counting on the fact that whatever woman it was he was emailing would not notice the difference, would not notice the missing M in his email address, right? Anyways, that's a nerdy thing. It's a geeky thing, but it was one of the first things I noticed. So anyways, she gives all of this proof to the newspaper so that they can, try to catch this guy. They can help catch this guy. That's how these three women, the three women that he ripped off, got together. One of them told her story to the newspaper, and then that attracted the other two, right? That's how the three of them found out about each other. So with the first one, he, oh, my enemies, blah, 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 whatever. And she gives him all this money. And then with the second one was actually a friend, right? Who they went on a date the same way he does with all the women. He meets her on Tinder, they match, they go on a date, and they decide, you know what, there's really nothing here. So they decide to be friends. But he ends up ripping her off as well. Not to the tune of $250,000 like he did the first woman, but she does get into him for like 50 grand or something like that, right? I'm just like, okay, first up, why? I don't know what would possess you to actually not think through $250,000. I know she thought that he was rich and that he had this money and that he was going to give it back to her, but I don't know, there's something about not just giving someone that kind of money, but taking a loan for that kind of money to give to someone else who may or may not pay it back. Now, if they don't pay it back, you still owe that institution that you borrowed that money from. So clearly she didn't have those alarm bells going off that would have said, or not right away. By the time it was too late, like I said, she'd already borrowed $250,000 for him, and he was still wanting more money out of her. She got him a credit card, or she got him a credit card with her name on it, with an Amex card with her name on it, but he was spending on it, right? He had the card, and whenever the card would get declined because he hit the limit, he would call her and get her to call Amex to raise the limit. And I'm like, at no time did any alarm bells go off for this woman or for the other two who he did the same thing to. One of them, he tells her to mortgage her house or sell her house to give him more money. There is just no, I'm sorry guys, am I overly paranoid, or does all of their stories make you go, what? How could you, with each one of the stories on this documentary, I thought, you gotta be kidding me. I would have blocked this guy the first time he asked me for money. The first. Not go get a loan and go get him a credit card and what? No, there's just no way. I'm sorry. And again, I'm not victim blaming. I'm saying there were a million red flags from point A to point Z. I'm Canadian, so it's Z. But nobody caught any of them until it was way too late. So, long story short, if you don't want to know how it ends, stop the video here. But if you're okay and you've already seen it, cool, we'll keep going. So long story short, he goes to jail. They catch him, he goes to jail. He gets, I think, 11 months. He gets sentenced to 11 months, of which he serves 5. He comes out, now he's a business consultant. I gotta say that with quotes. He's a business consultant, and he is apparently legit living the life that he was faking the entire time with these women. And they are still on the hook for the money that they borrowed for him. I really can't feel sympathy for them. I can't feel sympathy for them because even though he scammed them, it's not like he took a credit card without their knowledge and racked it up to the tune of $250,000. He made up some story. He played on their feelings, their emotions, and their gullibility, the naivete. He played on those things to get them to give him money. So they gave him money. So on the one hand, I'm like, oh my God, that sucks. You still gotta pay off all this money for this dude. And then on the other, I'm kind of like, but you gave it to him. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, as somebody who, like I said, I'm not giving any man money, especially a stranger, someone I don't know. No. The first time he asked me for money would have been the time I blocked him. I would block him. And when one of these women finally blocks him, he starts emailing her and calling her from other numbers or whatever and threatening her and saying, you know, she's like, he knows where my mother lives. He knows where I live. And I'm like, oh my God, why does he know where your mother lives? Like, no. You have to be so careful when you're dating. I say this to everyone, like my friends who are dating online. You have to be so careful when you're dating. But when you're dating online, you have to be extra careful because the only thing you know about that person is what they tell you. The only thing you know about that person is what they want you to know. Whether or not it's true, that's all you're going to know about them. And to me, I have no desire to go back on any of those dating sites, and I've used them all. And I've been in some good relationships. I've not really been in any relationships that I would call bad relationships from dating online. I'm just done with the whole catfishing is at an all-time high online, and I am not going through that again. I'm just not. One too many rude surprises. Not for me. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you got to be so careful. There's so many, like, more and more stories in the news about people who, you know, meet someone online and meet their untimely demise by way of that person. Yeah, it's not something I'm looking to risk. Money is not that big a deal when compared to, you know, getting away with your life. So anyways, yeah, that's the Tinder Swindler. And if you haven't seen it, you should watch it. It actually is really good. It's riveting. It'll have you going, yeah, no, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't. And, or you might not. You might think, you know what, that could easily happen to me. I know people that it's happened to and almost happened to. But yeah, that's all I got for the Tinder Swindler for today. Again, and as always, thank you for watching. I'm sorry I'm losing my voice. And I will see you next time.